Go for it.
Welcome back, Beers and Vultures fans. We are back with you for another Rapid Fire. And here this week, we're going to talk about the new data slate that just dropped, and it is blowing a lot of our minds. And we're joined with a special guest today, our friend Ian. He's over there. And of course, Josh and Walt are joining me as always. And let's just get down to the nitty gritty, guys. There's a lot to cover. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get to it.
There's a lot.
Yeah, Armor of Contempt. I am, as a Space Marine player, I am so jazzed about this. And it's pretty much just you're ignoring the first thing of AP on a gun that shoots at you, as long as you don't have a storm shield or many things. And it's not just Chaos Marines. It's a lot of people are benefiting from this, and it's gonna change the meta overnight. It's astounding.
Thanks, I hate it. I 100.
Controversial.
No. Here's going to be where I hate it from a lot of reasons, and I am a Space Wolves player. I'm going to start with item number 1. This is not how you fix your game, i.e., with adding extra rules bloat. This is the issue we had in 7th, that you'd have 12 or 15 different keywords that would be hotkeyed to your individual unit. Like, this guy's got this and that and that. And then I got to go look up what that rule is and remember it. I do not like that approach. I think it's bad. I think it's easy to forget. And I think it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to make my rolls in a tournament and go, hey, awesome. Oh, I forgot to do Armor of Contempt, so I would have made those saves. Too bad you didn't. Great. And they're not going to remind you because that's not how that game's going to work. I think it's I think it's going to make for bad plays. In general, I do not like it. Number 2 of a reason I don't like it is, as a Space Wolf player, I really don't like the nature of it because it really makes Storm Shields not good. Like, it makes them as a choice horrible, and they're a point upgrade. Like, for instance, Terminators, the only time a Terminator will be actually getting a better save with a Storm Shield is when it's AP -4. Like, and that's just not, that fights with my narrative sense of the word. That fights with, the reasoning for even having Storm Shields. So now Storm Shields are going to kind of removed. Again, as a Space Wolf player, that even feels bad because a lot of the units that are specific to Space Wolves kind of require that.
Oh yeah,
It was kind of like Codex Storm Shield. Granted, yep. I could rant about the thesis of Space Wolves for a long time and the lack thereof. But for those 2 reasons really get me mad. The third and final reason is that it is a fix that fixes some armies. Like, it makes Space Marines a little better and a little bit more competitive than meta. But it makes Death Guard way too good. It makes Sisters have a very large benefit now that they're going to get that as well. I just think that it kind of covers everything a little too much. If it was just things that had, like, the doctrines, like, hey, if you have doctrines, you have the ability to do this, then fine. Anytime you're basically fighting your opponent and they have doctrines, you have doctrines, you're like, cool, whatever doctrine, you don't really have it. It's kind of a fun way to balance that, but I don't think, and ultimately I think the biggest issue with this is that it's just, this is how you, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like I'm in a toxic relationship. You know what I mean? And, like, they found this thing that's like this grandstand thing. It's like, yeah, but if you fix the fundamental problem, we wouldn't have had this. And the fundamental problem is they put way too much AP in the game.
Yeah, it seems like I was just about to say that it feels like, oh crap, we gave, Hormigons the strength 5 AP -1 guns, and there's 30 of them in a squad. Like, that's bad.
I mean, we put AP -5 weapons without invulnerable saves. Like those combos. Like, it's a bunch of stuff that exists that in tandem, and it just becomes bad. And then this fix feels like a way to, it will fix it, but it also legitimizes creep. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be creep because now other things are going to be horribly affected for it. I'm sure Josh has a rant about that coming up here soon.
I sure do.
Yeah. What else?
I feel like we're going to see a big shift away from the AP -1 shooting to the 2-3 range.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a byproduct of this. You're going to see more gravitation to these high AP weapons,
which is only going to make the problem worse. You know what I mean? It's like, cool, now we've got, yeah, I mean, people are going to be paying more for it, but I don't see it as a meta fixer at all. I think it's going to be a fun thing. Yeah, we'll have a change, but I don't think we'll be at balance, which is, if you're arguing that it's a meta fix, it should be something that produces balance, and I don't know if that's going to do that.
And
I think the other problem is there's some armies that have like an army-wise, say orcs with Speedwa, where like their big thing is they get a -1 AP on their big shooters and stuff like that. And now it's like, oh, cool, this army-wide ability I have that you have to like tool your army around. You have to like build around it because you can only do it with the bike or the trike, and that's how you unlock it. It's literally useless now.
it's same with the Tau one for like if they're the closest model, you get an extra point of AP. Completely.
That's a different thing. That's gone now.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that.
Manga's only a reroll. Yeah, we'll get to that. But
all right. Well, let's roll. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Or are we ready to roll into indirect fire weapons?
it's another thing.
Got better things to say about that, though.
So, as an abuser, a recent abuser of indirect fire,
Me too.
I also hate this rule. Every time. Here's
Game.
no. You're actually to give you a reason why I hate this rule is because I don't like the way it was handled. Right? The idea that this rule is, oh well, now everything has -1 AP when you're firing that way. I'm fine with it having -1 to hit. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yep.
If it should have -1 AP because you're firing that way, you should have just put that in the data sheet. Because when are you firing that weapon outside a line of fire? Like the outside line of fire, when are you not hiding it behind a wall and just trying to get maximized shots out of it? It's built that way.
Yeah,
So,
very
like,
rarely is my basilisk like shooting point blank. Well, if somebody infiltrates my back line, which as Tyranids do.
But that's not the primary idea. The idea is that this thing is supposed to be doing that. So why not just give it the lower AP? Why not just fix all of the data sheets to say this is now the AP of these weapons? That would have been better to me because, again, a universal rule is another thing I got to look up in some book and hope that I have it. And also, if I don't remember it or somebody, they go down the line and change something else with it, oh, this one ignores that universal rule. What? That's a universal rule. I don't like that methodology.
I'm very flashing back to like 7th edition where I had like all 4 of my fingers like wedged into like as bookmarks in a book and just being like, okay, because I'm going to mention these 4 rules and my opponent's going to ask to see them. So I am ready for my turn now.
And I mean, the idea that these weapons have been a problem has been around since I've only been in since 8th, and since 8th it's always been an issue. We've had Thunderfire cannons that have been an issue in 8th edition, and weapons like that. Hive Guard got good this time around because again, you're not shooting. I love the -1 to hit. That should just be in its data sheet, right? That should be something that just shows up. Cool, you read it there. And it should have the correct AP. It should just always have that AP, period.
I think what this boils down to, though, is a need for the hobby, again, to move towards a more digital living format, because then those changes are easier to do.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
it's another indirect nerf to orcs who got nothing in this data slate as well, because the whole point of the squig buggy, which they jumped up like 30 points and etc., and they
only 30?
limited it.
Must be difficult.
Well, now, when it was like a little abundant, but dude, please, those are so much better than the squig buggy. It's just like, yeah. So now the +1 you get with the grot shooting it is negated completely. So,
Yeah.
and now since you're an orc, the little mini one's hitting on 6s. So it's like, okay, there's no point in bringing it now. It's literally dumpster fire now.
The minus to the AP really helps out, like Ian, when you have your custody boys on that back objective behind obscuring.
We'll
You're
get to that.
Yeah.
Still 2 up saves.
Back to 8th edition, boys and girls.
And it's so for me, I don't know, man. I just don't think it's. I'm really sad because one, my newest idea for a build was going to be this really fun, not uber aggressive list, but I was going to try and do Yanari, and the idea is the Incarn gets to teleport when things die. and I was going to target with outside of line of sight shooting, and then teleport my boy in and have him wreck afterwards. That was my whole this is my secret build. It's going to be fun. Of course, that's not going to be the thing anymore. So it's going to be a little bit. I mean, that being said, there are still going to be some things that can abuse this rule, like D cannons are still going to be real good. Because I'm just going to. I don't care that this thing is like AP. I think D cannons are like AP -4.
Yeah, and it's Eldar, so you're still hitting on 4s. So I mean,
you're hitting on 6s, and you just roll them in.
Yeah.
Cool. Strands of Fate. I get it.
Yep.
There's other armies that hit well that won't care as much, but
and notable mention, Guard ignores all of that.
Yep.
But I think that was a good decision.
That's understandable. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that one.
I begrudge Guard nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Again,
Ever.
I get your guy. I get the point, but I hate the idea of universal rules that are then immediately broken by somebody. That's just bad game design. Because then I don't understand how the game works. Like the idea, cool, we just got this new universal rule, shooting outside a line of sight. It means this. Oh, well, they ignore that. Okay, well then, fix it.
That's how I felt about so many people ignore the big guns never tire rule. Like, oh, you're in melee, but I ignore the -1 to hit because of this, and you're just like, all right, so what's the point of having that? Like, so many things ignore that. You're like, whatever.
Yeah, leadership. What he talking about leadership.
Point.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
Right. Josh, do you want to go on talk about your Tau for a second?
Yeah. So I mean, they hit Tau a little bit.
They needed
probably not as much as they needed.
Enough, or
I think they definitely needed to, but I'm salty.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is I'm not sure they hit them enough. They did hit them, so the line of sight is definitely, I think, aimed at them, because they just had whole armies of out of line of sight, and it was ridiculous. They changed the Manka, so now it's only reroll wound rolls of 1. There is no more AP attached to it, so there's no AP 1. So I guess I forget what AP their guns are, but if they're AP 0, I mean the breachers won't be, but the regular long rifle I think is AP 1.
Yeah, I think so.
AP 1.
Yeah, so it'll keep Space Marines at their normal save, even if they're super close now.
And if you're using the air bursts indirect, without the line of sight,
that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's not going to work the same way anymore.
And
no, the AP is completely gone. So,
but this still means that things like railguns still get to have their really good abilities. There's still plenty of decent items they did not
100%.
target in this, and I think that's good. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah, on the railgun, they did remove core from the broadside.
Thank God.
As they should.
Yeah, as they should. Yeah, that was a little. Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
With all the stuff you can do to core, so
I think it was Vanguard Tactics, but the guy was just like, "Oh, now my 9 broadsides are going to shoot," and he did like 21 mortal wounds. I'm like, I don't think that's what GW had in mind. When
I would say not.
Yeah, I was just like, come on, that's
I mean, other than that, it was just little cleanup stuff. Like the repulsor impact field and the photon grenade, they like clean up the language a little bit, so you can't like stack it with other modifiers. But that's like. Come on, nothing else stacks. Like stuff's not supposed to stack like that normally. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that's that typical sentence of like, "Come on, guys!" Like everyone knows it's not supposed to work that way, but we have to add it in. So that's
right. To make it easier.
Yep. And then my other rant is I'm gonna keep going. Orcs. Oh my god, I have so many feels, and I could go on for a while about it, probably like Walk could about Space Wolves. But I mean, the main thing is just that we got hit hard by this because no changes for us other than the changes they already had, which is a nerf. And everything in here is basically a nerf to us. Every single thing. There is not a single buff. And we are pointed for how we came out. So now everything's super overcosted. Our boys are...
just collateral.
Our boys are pointed for AP 1. So we're back to 8th edition... hitting Space Marines like a wet noodle, and we're going to see more Space Marines now, obviously. So there's a huge uproar in the orc community because no one knows what to do. Everyone's like, we have nothing. We literally have nothing.
I will say that because of the changes to the guard now, like Lasguns, your T5 means nothing anymore
Yep.
because 6s auto wound. So like against orcs, like they did the math hammer on it, and it's like 100% more effective now.
Yeah.
We're aware. We're very aware, and we're
Oh.
pointed as if we're super tough and killy. We are neither killy nor tough. So the whole way that everyone's discussing playing orcs now is like you basically just try to swamp the. You just try to survive and score points. It is the most un-orky way to play.
Yeah, it's the
It's
board
bad.
control kind of method. Yeah.
The board control, you like put a storm boy here, hide a storm boy there, and do R&D, and then you
Essentially, the Rock City kind of build.
kinda, yeah. It feels bad as an orc player the way we're building lists now. It feels really bad.
Yeah, it's almost
It's-
like every list has to win on almost like the same
Yeah.
3 setups now, and it's not great.
And
Yeah.
it's not even mentioning stuff like, well, at least they didn't break truck boys for the 3rd time. The one upside is that we can actually use them legally
Give it,
for the first time.
But 3 is a magic number. You sure?
give it time.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I'll give it time. This the whole no, that's another rant. The whole specialist mob thing is a whole nother rant where it just breaks the way they make you list build for orcs is very wonky and it feels bad, in my opinion.
People
Anyway.
watching this, give Josh some thumbs up and hugs, and mention him in the comments and say, "We love you. We stand with you, Orc brother." I'm sorry.
Yeah, I need a wah hug.
Oh wow. Moving on to Astra Militarum. It just got so good. Hammer of the Emperor. So pretty much every hit roll of a 6, auto wounds, irregardless of toughness. Irregardless of, like, you don't have to be core. You don't have to be. It's just you just wounded on 6s. So an infantry squad, like the math hammer, is pretty much 128% more efficient with your shots now. That's the math on it, and that's just unbelievable. Like you just made a unit 100% better. On top of that, all their upgrades and points and stuff like that are now free. An infantry squad went from 55 points to 60 points now, and then you put a power sword and a bolt gun on the sergeant. Free las cannon, free plasma gun. You know, if you got guys that are just be camping on a back objective, give them a free mortar. That way they can play in the game. It's free. Who cares?
I got bad news for you, buddy.
What?
All of this stuff sounds like your codex ain't coming for a long time. And I'd be pretty warned, like, with this, like, because this feels like a real big balance. Like, hey, this is how your list is going to work.
I feel I made a couple practice lists this morning, and with that, and I built a brigade because I'm like, why not bring a brigade? Let's have some fun with it. I got almost an extra 200 points of war gear for free out of that.
Must be
That's
nice,
the whole point of playing with power level.
Right. And
right?
yeah. So like, yeah, my one list was like, and I think to one list I got like almost 300 of, like, I ran like 12 infantry squads, but I got like an extra 350 of 350 free points of gear, and like that was 12 free last cannons.
Yeah.
Like,
It's all right. I'll pay 5. I'll pay like 8 points for my AP1 choppa, big choppa.
that's only damage 2.
That's only damage 2.
All right, buddy.
And AP1. Oh, I'm sorry, AP0.
Only against, like, I understand your worries. But
Against the army that everyone has.
It's against the army that everybody has, but right now they're absent. I think they might come back for a little bit, but I don't think they're going to.
That's the thought. Yeah.
I think you're still going to see, honestly, I still think you're going to see Tau Custodes and Eldar.
Yeah.
That's fair, and I've had that thought as well.
Not to mention, the new Tyranids Codex is going to be bonkers good, especially if they can still do Crusher Stampede, which is going to be one of these questions that we don't have answers to right now.
Everything is because all the bigger channels were coming for you. They've been doing their teaser things all week, and it looks like you can still do Crusher Stampede and Army.
Well, it's a good thing Crusher Stampede wasn't good to begin with.
Yeah, it's awful.
Hey, what won that recent tournament we just did? What won that recent tournament we just did?
It was I think Crusher Stampede got 3rd.
Yeah.
Yep,
without the new codex.
Yeah.
Yeah. guard overnight. Just big glow up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to do a lot with them, and it's like the fact that I did the math here with my buddy, and 3 guardsman squads with a company commander can take down Bellicor. Like they'll do 35 wounds to him in the shooting phase. Like that he has to make saves. That he has to make saves on the forearm. Like unbelievable. And
but how many Terminators can you take out? Because that's where it gets real weird. Because they're gonna have that 2-up save, right?
I don't care about that because I don't have any AP on my guns anyways.
All right.
Oh, but yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the guard. Guys, start playing around with your lists. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Other than that, like there's guard can be good, especially there is an army renowned for Cadia, so there's gonna be some sneaky stuff that you can do now that because just running as Cadians, you're re-rolling all. If you stand still, you're re-rolling all hits. You're just fishing for more 6s that are all to wounding.
Are you suggesting that we're going back to the?
No. Guard still has too many problems. Like they give up too many points. Like in a competitive sense, they give up too many points for the killing vehicles and like no prisoners. There's just people just score on you all day long. But certain matchups you're gonna have a great time. Certain matchups you're gonna have a real bad time. But all right, moving on. We kind of didn't go over the bodyguard role. We've all run into big problems with that facing Tau and other armies.
Custodes.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically, realistically, doesn't really exist anymore. It just means you use looking at stories here, which everybody has anyway.
Yeah, I don't.
It's basically dead.
Doesn't change anything. Like it's just
there's stuff like the Victrix Guard from my Ultramarines where like you only have like the 2 little guys.
Yeah.
So like they'll be able to.
So they use the Lookout Sir rule, but that you can be less than the maximum
3
required, which is actually pretty nice. So
yeah.
I think that's the most elegant way to do it. It also means that things that can go around the Lookout Sir keyword, Death Jesters, Eliminators, Vindicator Assassins, all that kind of stuff, actually have a place here. I think the bigger thing will just be now that you actually have to take those bodyguards and move them a little better, which is good.
Agreed. It is good. That's one of the changes where I was like, yay. They did something
I think this is pretty much universally appreciated because everyone has been on the wrong end of I'm going to put my HQ on the other side of this wall, and there's something bodyguarding him from behind that wall.
Yep.
that happened to me at the tournament. Yep.
I've done it. Yeah.
So that's,
my Booster Blaster was 2 inches away from Trajan. I was like, I'm going to flame him. He's like, you can't. And I was like, what? Why? And he's like, these guys are behind a wall.
And at least now you can maneuver to where, Trajan is the closest, so I can shoot him.
Yep. And I walked by your table and I saw that, and I saw your face.
Yeah.
You were just like, wait, why?
Yeah.
He's right there. He's right here. I can touch him. See?
Right. I was literally like, I was basically in engagement range. He was like, and these guys were nowhere near him. I was like, what? Okay. Cool. Feels good.
So good feels. I think, that's the bodyguard thing. Walt.
So
tell me about Harlequins.
So the Harlequins have taken a big old nerf. They're going to be on an apology tour because they were too good. Straight up, you can see the way in which that GW responded. They were at Adepticon. They saw that they were having an 85% win rate, which is ridiculous. So they nerfed them out of this world. A couple things that happened. These little lovely guys, these Void Weavers, went up 50% basically. They were 90 points. They're now 130 a pop. So like the army that I just fielded last week, which had 6 of them, just went up like 300 points. And that's a big deal. The other thing that they've done is they've made it to where the Mirror Architect ability, where you can have a 9-inch aura ability, it only works on 1 unit now. So you choose the unit that's farther away, which means that that's good. The other
Oh,
thing that...
and it has to be core, too, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it already had to be core.
Oh, okay.
But the... Well... No, I think... I understand what you're saying. Yeah. The spell thing. So you can't cast it on. The other thing that's a big deal is the Death Jester lost his trick, which is weird because it felt really intentional. Like, the way that was written felt like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You roll 3 dice, here's a 6. We have it linked up on our channel where we're doing the same thing. You turn one of the dice into a 6, and you get more hits. That felt like the way that they were making up for the fact that the Death Jester lost a lot of other abilities from other codexes. Was it good? Yes. It was very, very, very good. I don't know if I would have done that one with that one specifically. With these guys, yeah, they needed to go up in points. I'll tell you right now, I think 130 might be a little high. I think 110 was the number I was looking at. And they should have gotten a rule that would have been like, you can only take a maximum of X, like what they do with the orcs. Like, just go, cool, the maximum you can take of this is maybe 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume they didn't do that because your data sheets are so limited compared to ours.
Yeah, I understand that, but like, still 6 is like 6 at that point exchange is still like a big chunk of army. That's still.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's just, I'm just thinking. I'm just rationalizing like why. So.
I honestly just think they went, oh, we got to do something. Oh, what do you want to do? What can we get off the presses quickly?
100%. Yeah.
So it's. That being said, I still think that there's a place for this. I still think the fact is the stats for the Void Weavers are still really good. They, you can still take the Sideth. You can still get all those benefits. So, like, I don't know. It's still really, really good. You can still... Rob, imagine my list, but you didn't fight my Howling Banshees. Would it have been okay? Still would have been frustrating, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's 200 points gone. I just took away my Howling Banshees and say, cool, I can still fight you. Like,
yeah, that was...
It changed nothing.
It was quite brutal.
So, I think this means that you will see more traveling players, less Harlequins straight.
Yeah.
Because I'll spend 2 CP to put in... Because 1 unit of 3 is still pretty decent, right? Like, that unit doesn't die. It's, it's basically got its transhuman. It's -1 to hit, so it's only getting hit on 4s. You don't reroll. All that stuff is still there, and it's still real good. So, honestly, I know some of my friends who play Harleys are... oh, it's dead. It's never going to happen. No, I still think it's going to show up because it is still pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're still good.
There it is.
You okay there, Rob?
Yeah, I was having
moving around.
My problem with my computer for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, the -6 inches to your range stuff because it doesn't work on your vehicles anymore.
Yeah.
That's
oh well. It's not that huge. It's like the thing is, it's still 36-inch range on something that moves 22.
Yeah.
So it can still play keep away all day. It's going to get a little bit less of the. Yep, it's getting super bonuses. It's still good. It just means that there's going to be less. You're not going to be taking boat spam, which is the whole point. Because the idea was, when you saw the Adepticon finals were like 20 of those same model, right? Because essentially the Void Weaver is very similar to the Sky Weaver. Star Weaver. So, like, it just looks like the same model. It's like, how many boats can we take? And I don't think that's really good for the game in general.
It is fair. So, I guess it's a good time to buy some Star Weavers and Void Weavers on eBay right now. Ian, Custodes. You're here because we like you and you play Custodes. So,
yeah, it's been a tough day. I'll start with this. I was okay with knowing that we were going to get a nerf. We probably deserved a nerf, and that's fine.
Yeah, because like pre-Harlequins, you were like 65% win rate, right?
But we were still not actually winning the tournaments. We were taking a lot of spots, but we were generally losing in the finales to tap. And then we basically got kicked out of rankings as soon as Harlequins dropped.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the Harlequin system is... It totally messed with a lot of stuff. I feel like you have to put an asterisk on that. But
anyway, these changes are much further than I expected based on that. Just dead stop. The reduction of core really makes it... Because, the whole trick before was basically any infantry model in the army had opposite, and now it's back to troops only. I think that's going to result in you seeing more small squads of troops running around to do things. That could probably be adjusted for, but I think you'll end up seeing less variety in your lists nowadays. You'll see less Terminators. The bikes never had sex, so that's not a huge change. The second change here, as far as our two of our best stratagems in the book, going to once per game. All right, well, I'll say this. It says you can only use this stratagem once, so next time I use it on the channel, you guys have to remember I can't use it again for the rest of my life. Until they update it here, to say whether or not they mean per turn, per battle round.
I really want to go to a tournament and do that to some dude. Just like, oh, did you
You
actually
used that last
Did
game?
Did you use that last game, Judge? I'd like to find out whether or not he used this last game.
Rules is written, so yeah, you'll be real. Like, say that for the LBO, I guess. And then,
but yeah, so the big two that got hit were the Esteemed Amalgam, which is tied to the most popular shield host, which was just the amount of flexibility it gave you is incredible. I think both of these would have been more eloquently addressed with a CP improvement. Because, for example, Emperor's Auspice used to be 2 flat CP back with War the Spider 8th Edition Codex. And it didn't feel broken then. It was the only thing keeping the Codex afloat.
What was... Okay, can you run us through what I'm not familiar with this, and I actually haven't played Custodians in like a hot minute, but can you run me through those two stratagems real fast?
So Esteemed Amalgam lets you essentially, in your command phase, pick a unit on the table, and they act as if they were in a different shield host for the turn. So, for example, I can take my Emperor's Chosen and say, for the turn they're Shadow Keepers, while you're fighting them, you have -1 attack. And I reroll a wound against characters.
Oh, spicy.
The one I used at the RTT we all went to was I turned my bikes into Solar Watch after they'd been engaged. So they could fall back and charge for the turn.
That's cool.
And then for 1 CP, I also gave them the ability to shoot charge. With a completely different stratagem that hasn't been touched. But basically the thing that it did, it was just it's raw flexibility when you needed it, but now it's only usable once per game. So I don't know if that will matter as much as long as you pick your moment right. So maybe that increases skill ceiling a little bit. Maybe we'll see more people gravitate to other shield hosts as well. Because I think only really, honestly, 2 of the shield hosts are some. The rest of them.
Okay.
But no, the one that really gets my goat is the change to Emperor's Auspice, which is the turn off rerolls for a phase. For something that only lasts 1 phase, being able to use it 1 time a game that's tough. Because it's basically going back to the drawing board. And this goes with the third bullet here. This is going to change the way people list builds in a big way, because you're going to want to get maximum value out of it. As opposed to spending it literally every phase, you're taking significant fire, you're going to use it once a game, so you might as well spend the 2 CP on that to make it count on something big.
Yeah.
The Martial Discretion stratagem change.
Nope, you cut out a second there, Ian.
Yeah. Sorry, Ian, could you repeat?
Sure. Martial Discretion, the third one they nerfed, doesn't matter that much to me, honestly. I don't know why they nerfed it. It's, you change your kata for the turn to something else, but it's 1 unit getting a small buff. That one I don't think they needed to touch, but whatever. No, the other one that's a real kick in the teeth is the third bullet here, which is our transhuman stratagem, Arcane Genetic Alchemy, is now locked to infantry only. So you can't put that on bikes anymore.
Oh, wow.
Emperor's Auspice is now locked to infantry. You can't put it on bikes anymore. You can't put it on dreadnoughts anymore.
That was the thing, keeping your dreadnought alive, man. Your Telemon.
Yeah,
dude.
So now all of a sudden you get all your rerolls against all the dreadnought and everything like that. So do we end up skewing away from dreadnoughts and bikes and more towards that infantry heavy build? I've jokingly seen people run 3 squads of 10 custodian guard with storm shields and say I will exist on these 3 points. You can't move me.
I live
But
here.
yeah, it goes a lot further, and that specifically Auspice and Alchemy being locked to infantry means you can't really put them on those squads anymore.
Yeah.
So you're getting less value out of them, and one of them you can now only use once per game. So like I'm jokingly building like a Solar Watch build right now that has a squad of 10 with the Advance and Charge Warlord trait from Solar Watch. So, I'll pop it once as soon as they basically make contact and hope they win. At that point, that's all I can do. But I think basically now, instead of choosing, do I Alchemy or Auspice every phase, you're going to just see Alchemy all day long. I would have preferred points updates. I'll be real with you. Everyone was like, yeah, Trajan should be 190. I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'll cop to that. Should we increase the points on salvo launchers? Sure, I'll cop to that too.
I mean, at least just start with just returning the points back to what they were before they got better.
Yeah, that was a pretty popular opinion.
Like that would have been a better start. I mean, Trajan's still a little undercosted then, but
yeah.
But then, hey, we have the opportunity to do that, and I think that was kind of brings me back to where I was going too. Is the idea is just these feel like large cudgels when they could have gone in and just fixed the problem. I don't know. A little bit more precision would have been nice.
Yeah, they're trying to do surgery with a baseball bat. I mean, that's just...
No, I mean, it's all just apology towards, like, okay, this is bad, let's make it not good, and hope that we've built the army good enough to make balance when they don't have a balance to be fundamentally begin with.
Well, there's weird stuff in there, and, like, granted, I don't play these two armies, but, like, Adeptus Sororitas got that big change. Ian, you want to...
I mean, being able to get a miracle dice most of the battle round, I mean, that's an extra miracle dice. Well, of course, across the game, that's 5 extra miracle dice. That's, pure positive for them. And then, everyone's talking hot about salamanders. I can probably link these 2 points here. But because they already essentially had the negate -1 AP, Order of Valorous salamanders can't reroll wounds against that chapter and that. Pure upside again, because right now, I mean, I don't play Sisters either, but every time I turn around, I feel like it's basically always Bloody Rose.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty much the only chance they have. The other thing, though, is that huge negative to their build, is Sacrosanct not getting the ignoring AP. The Sacrosancts were definitely a meat and potatoes.
But I think they were more so for the Bodyguard. Realistically, to make Celestine and like
but you cycle them around and go and they still basically have it kind of, but it's gonna get like my friends who are Sisters players are in a nervous place because they got a boon with the one thing and then a bane with a couple other things.
At least they got a boon.
Oh, well, it's interesting to see. Like, we didn't see at that we went to a 100-person GT. You didn't see a single Admech player or Sororitas player.
Yeah, to be fair though, that was the how many Eldar players did we see there?
Oh my god!
Yeah, every Eldar player.
Like that's all I played, and I was an Eldar list. I played all except for one list was Eldar, and I lost to every player that was Eldar.
There was way too many Eldar players there. I was also one of them.
Yep.
So you're telling me for a dying race, they seem to be very particularly vibrant right now.
Yeah. It was all of them. We all came out. It was a good time.
Every single Eldar in one place.
Josh, you want to shout about Death Guard for a second?
I mean, most of it is the stuff I already talked about with the AP and stuff, but the big thing is Blightlord Terminators and Death Shroud Terminators are objective secured now,
I hate this. They
awesome.
Didn't need it. They didn't need it.
Why?
Because I don't know. Like this, I agree with the concept of this, but like you've got to go back and look at every army and give an obsec to like something that's not troops. Because right now it's like Dire Avengers have it, and like just a lot of like armies are starting to get this ability. But then like anything that came out before like Drukhari, or don't, and it's really weird. It's really, really weird, and it doesn't fit the line of, oh well, these are armies that are super elite, and that's why they have it. It's like
It's
It's a fair point.
like, why don't all Terminators have that?
It's not narratively consistent at the end of the day.
It's not for a
it's
balance.
one here, one here, one here.
Yeah, and it's also not like, arguably, the in Death Guard, the Death Guard have trouble dying to begin with. That's kind of their thesis, right? So they just got this boon to make them less, even harder to kill, and now they're getting OBSEC. So it's like, well, then what do you do? Like,
It's a double buff, yeah.
Because the idea is you could have just been like, all right, cool, I'm going to move my troops over that, and at least I have the point and he doesn't, right? I don't think it's really
Not
great.
anymore.
I do not think it's a good combo. I think you're going to see a lot of Death Guard. We'll
say.
I love Death Guard, so I was like, it was nice, but no, I agree. Yeah.
Because I think Thousand Sun Terminators also have OBSEC.
Yeah.
Well, Thousand Sun rubrics already have that of, like, they might as well be Terminators, right?
Yeah.
They have basically artificer armor. So
they reduce your AP by 1, and 1 damage they increase their armor save once. So good stack.
Yes, correct.
Ooh,
just like
stack?
just like eliminators, because
one's changing the attack, one's changing the.
Yeah, one modifies you, the other modifies your opponent.
Ooh, Thousand Suns just got spicy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're getting an army of renown.
Zangor, baby! Yeah!
Not a great army of renown.
Will it be better than that Vanguard Spearhead army of renown where you have to take only Phobos units?
No, okay, we don't mention that. That's
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
That's for narrative only.
I, as a Space Wolf player, have a way in which I could take a good version of Reavers, and I still don't take that list.
No.
Yeah,
it's a meme at this point.
It is, yeah.
Even the Raven Guard players are just like, no, Phobos, gross.
Actually, though, that list might need to be reevaluated. I know we're poking fun at it, but Eliminators just got really strong.
Yes, Armor of Contempt. Holy crap, yeah.
So with Armor of Contempt on Eliminators, you're essentially having something with the 2-up save, and the minuses to AP for a unit that really wasn't built to have like all that. So you put them where you need to. I think you might actually start seeing a chance for it to maybe work. I don't know, because the whole argument was that there's not enough damage, but there might be the idea of you using Eliminators as last fusils.
Yep. And they're only 70 or 90 points with the last fusils, I think. So yeah, that's pretty tasty. They take up a heavy support slot. That's their only But
that's your only heavy support choice.
Yeah.
In that army, it might be something to look at.
Yeah.
I can't say that it is. Because I would have to. But just thinking about that. Oh wait, that bonus might actually be good now. Because they might have some bonuses. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look at that one and cry because it probably won't be any good.
Do some list building.
Yeah.
Cool. And with that, I think we've talked about everything on the data slate that was new-ish. Ian, you want to walk us out? Or no, sorry, Walt, you want to walk us out? Ian's like, what? No,
I actually do. So I have one last moment. I've got one little dash of salt I'd like to put on here. In that, something that's kind of not really talked about, and I think really needs to be talked about, is the paint scoring, right? So we see that the idea that the paint scoring exists, the idea that your army's battle ready. I love the rule. I think it makes sure that we're playing a game that's hobby attached, right? The fact is, there are games that are not hobby attached. You can go buy exactly what you need, beat your opponent with your money item purchased, and go about it. It's called Magic. It's a great game for that system. Go play that. So Warhammer 40k is a hobby, and it should be linked to the hobby, period. I will stand on that forever. However, I was in a tournament, I was playing a guy, and he bought a bunch of Void Weavers, a bunch of Star Weavers, and was kind of using them interchangeably. And on top of that, his Void Weavers didn't have the Void Weaver weapon, i.e. the Prismatic Cannon. He had instead just the Shuriken Cannon, because that's how he had them from a couple editions ago. So this came out, and of course he switched over to the prismatic cannons. They were free. They're better. It's an upgrade. But some of them did have a prismatic cannon. Some of them didn't. And it's really hard as a player to discern that. And I feel like WYSIWYG should be part of that 10 points. Now, before I go crazy with that, when I mean WYSIWYG, I don't mean you have to have the GW model for that thing, and it needs to look exactly like that. It could look like a Hello Kitty pillow for all I mind. I just want it to look the same in every representation and permeation in its system. So like the idea, cool, I've got prismatic cannons on my Void Weavers. Yep, every single one of the Void Weavers has this thing that you've called a prismatic cannon, right? Every one of your bolters looks right. The guy who's an exception, he has the exceptional weapon, right? That's, to me, this should be part of something that's listed as battle ready. It currently is not in the rules, and I almost called a judge because I wanted to make a big deal about it, but then I was like, I don't want to be that guy, one, and two, it's not technically part of the system as it currently stands, but I do feel like that is something that should be looked at as part of the spirit of that rule. And I want to know what you guys think on that one. This is going to be your question for the comments. Do you guys think that part of your battle ready should be some form of WYSIWYG, i.e., how you model the model matters just as much as how you paint that model?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic question.
Good question.
Many thoughts. You guys put in the comments below what your thoughts on WYSIWYG and tournaments and how you think about it. And like, some people will go as far as be like, I don't see a frag grenade modeled on your space marine sergeant there. You can't throw a grenade.
I think I think there are some options where you go, yeah, that's not quite what we're talking about. I think, but if you say like, oh, well, these guys all have axes, but the way I'm looking at, no, those aren't axes, those are swords. Except for that one guy who definitely is an axe. Okay. That really, and the only way that because I'm not saying that players should automatically have to have everything WYSIWYG. Of course. Just like they don't have to have everything painted. But there is a hobby element to the game, and that part of the hobby score is 10 points. And to get it, you should have a battle-ready paint job and a battle-ready hobby job.
Because, like, I'm not the world's best painter by any means, but, like, we try. And, like, there's a difference between trying and phoning it in.
Yeah.
And something very clear phone in, and you're just like,
and it especially feels bad when you have whatever the meta du jour is, and that guy's like, he's hastily put something that at least is like, okay, yeah, no, these are all Void Weavers, cool, but none of them have the prismatic cannon. Again, this is my example. Codex just came out, and this is what I want to play. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, yeah, the Codex did just come out, and I made all of mine have the item. Granted, I used a 3D printer to get parts the way I wanted them and what I know, but I feel like there should be some sort of, and again, I'm not even saying it has to look exactly like what it looks like, because I don't know what every single army's model looks like. I'm saying that it should be consistent throughout the army, so that way I, as your opponent, know what I'm looking at.
I think that's the big thing. I think it's just consistency and being able to point out that what this is and that it's different, so that your Star Weaver doesn't look the same as your Void Weaver, because they all look the same minus the gun, right?
Yeah.
Same chassis.
And then they get mixed together and it's confusing. And I mean, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy. I mean, you could be like, because per your argument, someone wanted to be salty about it, be like, well, orcs have tons of different stuff. It's like, no, it's a consistency thing.
Orcs also kind of call
point it out.
Tons of things the one thing. It's a choppa. Like, that's kind of the point. They have improvised weapons, and a lot of the times they're the same thing. I get that there's... there should be some sort of coding. Just like... It just feels to me like something that would be nice to see. Or like the equivalent of, like, shoulder padding. Like, making a shoulder pad on a unit, so that way we can tell what the units are. Or marking it just on the base. Like, this is Unit 1. This is Unit 2. Especially when you know that your build is going to...
be confusing.
Put them all together. For instance, when we saw these with the Harlequins list, you would see these like 13 boats showing up. It's like, okay, which ones are part of the unit? Which ones are not part of the unit? Which ones are part of a unit that I've already killed a little bit of? A lot of that visually isn't easy to showcase unless you, as a hobbyist, show it.
Yeah.
Agreed. And if you guys have questions or thoughts or any ideas what we should do for our next rapid fire, put them in the comments below as well. Like, comment, subscribe, Patreon stuff. Josh says words.
Yes, patrons can't do it without you. Please sign up. You don't have to, but keeps lights on. And ring the bell. Ring the bell so you know when we release new content. And that's it.
All right, keep on gaming, guys. Thank you.
Keep on gaming.
And thanks to our guest Ian for talking about custodies with us.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
thank you, Ian.
Not a problem.
Now we're done. All right. That